Thanks to my last story, it looks like I'll be here on Earth quite a while now. So, if you're curious, I can tell you a bit more about hell. I'll also let you know how I first got to meet Satan. It's an important part of how I wound up where I am today, as one of the most skilled possession artists in hell. Besides, let's face it, you should be curious about hell. After poking around in some of your heads, I am sorry to say that most of you will be going directly there when you die. It's not that you're evil or anything. It's just that God really doesn't like that kind of website. Even as a demon, I must admit, I was pretty shocked. I did forward some of those links to Satan, however. He's always on the lookout for things to base the new hellscapes on. What are hellscapes, you ask? They're sort of like theme parks. But instead of the light-hearted fun in the sun, it's visceral torment and eternal despair. The lines are the same though. Except in hell, you much rather be in line than on the ride. There are 7 main hellscapes, themed after the 7 deadly sins, of course. You have pride, greed, lust, gluttony, envy, sloth, and wrath. There are also many smaller hellscapes based on whatever horrible ideas Satan can come up with. There may or may not be a tentacle-themed hellscape soon, thanks to some of the videos I pulled from your brain's browser history. That leads me into the first hellscape I wanted to talk about. Lust. Lust is one of the oldest hellscapes, and is also the largest. Marquise de Sade is in charge of operations here. Unfortunately, it's been under construction ever since 50 Shades of Grey was released. Hell's management wants the park to be ready for the big influx of lust-related sins when the Grey generation dies off in about 50 years. Right now, they mostly have relatively boring sins down there, like having that odd fantasy about your hot cousin. Yeah, that's right. Don't worry. It's actually much more common than you think. Just kidding, you're a degenerate. But your personal sexual deviancy aside, I'll go on to tell you about some of the rides. Luckily for most people, your punishment is commensurated with your sins. Most people's lust-related sins are fairly mild. Things are a little worse for the rapists and pedophiles, though. There's the mandatory daily castration, as well as being forced to experience the assault from the point of view of each of your victims. The weirdest ride is being reincarnated as one of those free condoms that they hand out in nursing homes. I don't know who gave Satan the idea for that one, but when he told me, he was practically skipping with excitement. He just loves stuff like that. Have you ever had a boss that seemed to get way too excited over stuff that nobody else cared about? Satan's that kind of guy. Only you have to pretend to be excited too, or he'll eviscerate your guts. He loves eviscerating people's guts. The Lust Hellscape is the first hellscape I visited upon entering hell. This is back when the hellscape was much smaller, and I can still remember the stretch as the gate opened and I trucked through them. The stretch of stale sweat and sour sperm invaded my nostrils and left me bent over, retching by the side of the road. When I saw what awaited for me here, I turned and bolted away. But I was caught and carried in all the same. I'll spare you the details of what happened next. This was also the first time I met Satan. It wasn't a terribly long meeting. He just told me how much he admired what I had done on Earth, and I gasped and choked on my own blood in answer. I just remember him laughing and walking off, shaking his head. Greed. John D. Rockefeller runs this hellscape. Although Hell's management is considered replacing him with someone younger. They are expecting a certain prominent American politician down here very soon. The thing about the Greed hellscape is that it's mostly populated by people who were the elite of their society in their time. Satan created this hellscape to be shabby, even by hell standards. If you want to know what that means, just picture a slightly nicer version of New Jersey. The most popular ride in the Greed hellscape is the waiter ride. The damned are forced to experience life of a waiter or retail worker in which every single customer is rude. But they can't quite work the ride. A lot of the clothing manufacturers get sent to that one. Let's just say working your fingers to the bone isn't just an expression there. I spent a long time in this hellscape myself as a young demon, and it was the second on the list because it was the second time I got to meet Satan. He had just come to inspect a problem with one of the rides, the one where you slowly get burned alive by gold coins. To my greed in life, I was in the ride when he came. He was confused when he saw me. "I thought you were a RASP violator. What are you doing here?" he asked me. "I have already been to RASP," I replied, "for 200 years. 200 years? Jesus, what did you do again?" "If you want to know, you can read my paperwork." He looked at me for a moment like he was angry, and then he laughed. Not many people have the balls to stand up to me, you know? I respect that. He smiled, extended a hand, and we shook, and then he eviscerated my guts. Pride, vanity, or arrogance will land you here. This hellscape used to be rather small and unpopular, but with the rise of Snapchat and the selfie culture, the amount of vanity offenders is exploding. Arrogant, my opinion is right, and everyone else's stupid types may find themselves here as well. Which means a lot of people who spend their spare time arguing on the internet have a nasty surprise waiting for them in the afterlife. To atone to their pride on earth, the damned here have to do a lot of ass kissing. And no, that's not a figure of speech. If you think you're guilty of the sin of pride, I suggest you cut off your nose and tongue, because you definitely do not want to know what a demon's ass smells like. The walls and ceilings are made of mirrors here, and the reflection you see depends on the degree of your pride in life. If you were a little vain, you may only see your reflection from the time you had a really bad haircut or a breakout. But if you were really proud, you get the whole face crawling with maggots treatment. The biggest pride offenders haven't made it down here yet, though. Apparently in America, they have this special kind of celebrity who everyone has heard of, yet no one actually knows why they're famous. Hell doesn't have an appropriate punishment for them yet. But Satan's working hard on one. Maybe you have some ideas. If so, please let me know, and make it ironic if possible. Satan just loves poetic justice. Anyways, you probably guessed that this is the third hellscape, where I met Satan, and you're right. I just finished a 20-year stint as a slave when he came strolling up to me, waving and smiling. "Johnny boy," he half yelled. "Good to see you. How long has it been?" "It's been 82 years, and my name's not Johnny." "Really? Huh. That's right. I'm sorry, James." "It's not James either. What do you want, Satan?" He ignored my tone and wrapped an arm around me, grinning. "I was hoping you could help me with something, Jimmy. One of the rides in the new witch-based hellscape is broken, and the technicians are stumped. So I thought to myself, who do I know that knows all about magic? My old buddy Jimmy, of course." He practically shouted the last part in my ear as he crawled, hand pat me on the back, more than a little too hard. I wanted to tell him to fuck off, but I figured it was preferable to spending another 20 years working the fields for rich assholes. So I went along with him and fixed the ride. I'll wrap it up here for now. I fragmented my consciousness into several bodies, and I'd like to let go and enjoy them. Sadly, I'm not talented enough to possess all of you. So the next time you have the urge to do something that you know you shouldn't, maybe that whispering evil notion in your ear, or it may just be your own human nature. But until that happens, relax. Read another story. No need to exert yourself. After all, a little sloth is no great sin.